When Russia unleashed its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Vladimir Putin expected the armored might of thousands of tanks to overwhelm Ukraine in a matter of days. Russia's war machine rolled forward with confidence, betting everything on its massive advantage in armor. Ukraine at the time had nothing close to Russia's numbers. Yet, more than 3.5 years later, over 11,000 Russian tanks have been destroyed. The invincible aura of Russian armor has crumbled, not just because Ukraine has found ways to destroy tanks, but because it has turned Russia's own tanks against them. What began as desperation has become Russia's worst nightmare. Ukrainian forces driving captured Russian tanks back into battle. On September 8, journalist Violet Kirtoka interviewed a soldier who has lived this transformation firsthand, Vladimir Lutsyk of the Da Vinci Unit's 1st Assault Regiment. That regiment, she revealed, exists for one reason: Ukraine captured enough Russian tanks to form it. When the war began, Da Vinci's unit, commanded by the late Dmytro Kotsui-Bylo, Da Vinci, a hero of Ukraine, had no plans for tanks. That changed in the spring of 2022, when his soldiers recovered an abandoned Russian tank. They pulled it out, got it running, and suddenly realized the impossible was now possible. More captures followed in Izium, Kupiansk, and Borova. Before long, they had enough tanks to form Ukraine's first mechanized regiment made entirely from captured Russian armor. The cycle was born. Captured tanks gave Ukraine the power to capture even more. By December 2022, videos showed the cycle in action: a captured Russian T-72B3 towing another disabled Russian vehicle. What began as chance became routine. The more Russia lost, the more Ukraine gained, sometimes hundreds of tanks at a time. By late 2023, Radio Free Europe, or Radio Liberty, reported that Ukraine had captured about 500 Russian tanks, boosting its tank numbers by over 50% in just 18 months. And these weren't unfamiliar machines. Ukraine already had many Soviet-era T-72s and T-64s. That meant captured tanks could be put to use almost immediately. For Lutsyk, the journey began with that very first capture. A lifelong gearhead, he had spent his youth tinkering with motorcycles and later working on infantry fighting vehicles. His technical skill made him an obvious candidate when fellow soldier Yurko Kaputsa asked him, "The Russians pulled back, left equipment. Nobody's cleared it yet. Are you ready to retrieve a tank?" Lutsyk was more than ready. With a winch, they dragged the abandoned Russian tank to safety. To their surprise, it wasn't a wreck. It started up and drove under its own power all the way to Bakhmut, fully loaded with ammunition. Russia's retreat had left Ukraine more than just scraps. It had left behind working tanks abandoned in panic. Encouraged, the unit returned to recover more equipment. Not all could be saved, but some vehicles were repaired and restored. Lutsyk and Kaputsa managed to bring out 2 infantry fighting vehicles alongside the tank. Those IFVs were later used to train Ukrainian soldiers in how to operate newly captured machines. Lutsyk's reputation grew, and soon he was a permanent member of Da Vinci's unit, specializing in reclaiming tanks. But Russia adapted quickly. Knowing its abandoned vehicles were being reclaimed, it began leaving booby traps. In one tank, Lutsyk found a grenade without a pin wedged beneath the driver's seat, a deadly trap designed to kill whoever tried to sit inside. They spotted it in time. But similar traps appeared in Bilohorivka and other battle zones. This tactic was consistent with Russia's grim record. In April 2022, Ukraine's emergency services revealed that a single village, Dmitrivka, had 1,500 hidden explosives left behind. In Busha, corpses left in the streets were feared to be booby-trapped with grenades. As reports emerged of mines planted in toys and even in the bodies of Russian soldiers, Ukraine's forces learned to expect surprises in every abandoned tank. Despite the dangers, the Da Vinci unit grew. By fall 2022, it was offered the chance to form a battalion within the 67th Brigade. Its strength built entirely on captured tanks. Lutsyk trained fresh recruits, some who had never touched a tank, teaching them to use Russia's armor against Russia. Soldiers who began as gunners and mechanics quickly rose to become tank commanders. Russia may have expected the occasional captured vehicle. What it never anticipated was entire Ukrainian regiments built from Russian steel. It was humiliating, and it was devastating on the battlefield. Captured tanks were not only used for towing equipment, but also for artillery. Retrofits allowed them to fire Ukrainian preferred shells. With drones spotting targets, these tanks shelled Russian positions from cover. Other times they rolled forward with infantry, smashing through fortifications. For Lutsk, there was a particular satisfaction in firing Russian rounds at Russian troops. We fired from closed positions like artillery. No one taught us. We learned ourselves. We rolled out when infantry was in trouble, and we hit enemy infantry with the first round, using a Russian round, paying them back with their own. But war evolves. By 2024, drones had changed the game. A NATO report showed that 65% of Russian tank losses came from drone strikes. Ukraine, too, leaned into drones, often destroying tanks before they could be captured. What was once an advantage began to fade. Lutsk saw the danger firsthand. Once, after firing from cover, 12 Russian FPV drones swarmed his tank's position. Only camouflage and distance saved it. Another time, a drone strike shredded him with shrapnel, leaving a 5-centimeter fragment lodged near his shoulder. He survived, but it was a reminder that Russia could turn Ukraine's tactics back on them. Still, the Da Vinci Tank Regiment fights on. Since late 2024, it has operated on the Pokrovsk front, a critical defense line, during Russia's massive summer offensive, which committed 110,000 troops. The regiment held firm, using Russia's own tanks to help defend the city. Russia failed to take Pokrovsk, and Lutsk is not done. He still dreams of capturing Russia's best machines. I wish we had the T-90, he admits. We had a chance in Kupiansk, but couldn't pull it out. My favorite is the T-80. It's very quiet, perfect for assaults. You won't hear it until it's right on top of you. For him, the ultimate prize would be Russia's T-90M, the tank Putin himself has called the best in the world, capturing. One would be the deepest possible irony. Russia's pride turned into Ukraine's weapon. Ukraine's creativity has gone far beyond tanks. Its cyber warriors have hacked into Russia's own security cameras, turning surveillance networks into tools for strikes. In this war, innovation is survival and survival is victory. Ukraine's captured tanks aren't just weapons. They're symbols, proof that Russia's invasion has backfired spectacularly, that the weapons meant to crush Ukraine have instead been turned around to fight for its freedom. And every time a captured tank fires back at its former owners, it sends the same message. Russia's war machine is not invincible. It can be beaten, dismantled, and used against itself.